Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. When the Reserve Bank Governor recently announced a restructuring scheme for loans by banks, he also announced the setting up of an expert committee headed by Shri KV Kamath. This committee has been given a very important and crucial mandate. It is required to recommend to the Reserve Bank financial parameters under which loans can be restructured by banks. It is also required to come up with sector-specific recommendations for the restructuring of loans. And most important, wherever a bank loan exceeding 1500 crores is being restructured, this committee is required to vet and approve the approval by the bank concerned. This is an extremely important committee that Shri KV Kamath is heading. As soon as his appointment was announced by the Reserve Bank of India, the AIBA, which is the All India Bank Employees Association, a very powerful body, vehemently objected to his appointment. AIBA says that Shri Kamath is not a fit and proper person to head such an important committee, and in contending so, it refers to his role in the dubious loans sanctioned by ICICI Bank to the Videocon group, which have been a matter of investigation and probe by the CBI and by the Enforcement Directorate. The AIBA says that it is reported that Shri KV Kamath has been mentioned in the FIR lodged by the CBI on 22nd January 2019 in this case, wherein Chanda Kochhar has been mentioned as an accused. And according to the AIBA, because of this, he is certainly not fit to be appointed unless he is investigated and cleared in this case, of course. The stand of the AIBA, according to us, is not frivolous, and to us, it is worthy of consideration. Let's see, why do we think that whether KV Kamath is fit to be appointed on this committee and to head it, or whether he is not so. Let's see what is the background of Shri KV Kamath, and also the dubious loans given by ICICI Bank to the Videocon group, which are a matter of investigation by the CBI, and with reference to which in particular the AIBA now contends that Shri Kamath is not a fit and proper person to head such an important committee of the RBI. 72-year-old Mr. Kamath has been a high-profile and most influential banker of India. He has also been a Padma Bhushan awardee. He was the CEO of ICICI Bank from 1996 to 2009, and thereafter, when his tenure as CEO ended, he did not get out of the bank. He continued as its non-executive chairman of the board of directors, and most importantly, he was a member of the credit committee of the bank, which has sanctioned all these dubious loans to Videocon group which have gone bad. The very fact that he is influential is even proven by the fact that from 2014 to 2019, he was the first CEO. He headed the new development bank set up by the BRICS nations at Beijing, and he was thus out of India for that tenure, heading a new bank set up there. He has been, as we said, a banker with a clout. In 2009, when his tenure as CEO ended, his protege Chanda Kochhar was appointed as its MD CEO. And from then to October 2018, when she finally resigned, or whether she was sacked, that's a bone of contention that we may have. But from 2009 to October 2018, Chanda Kochhar continued to be the CEO of ICICI Bank. She finally left the bank on charges of corruption, nepotism and criminal misuse of power, and she has been named as an accused to this extent by the CBI in an FIR lodged on 22nd January 2019. It's worth considering at this stage, what has been the Videocon case wherein both their names are involved, Shri KV Kamath as well as Chanda Kochhar's. Between June 2009 to October 2011, ICICI Bank sanctioned loans to Videocon Group on 6 different occasions. The last loan was given in October 2011, and it is worth noting that in 2012 itself, ICICI Bank recorded these loans as NPA. In other words, they had turned bad within a year of sanction itself. The first loan that was given to Videocon by the ICICI Bank was to the tune of 300 crores, and immediately on giving this loan, the Videocon group invested a sum of 64 crores in a company called New Power Renewables, owned by Deepak Kochhar, the husband of Chanda Kochhar. That is where corruption took place. This investment of 64 crores was sold by the Videocon group to Deepak Kochhar's benefit for a sum of mere 9 lakh rupees. That's how the quid pro quo for loans given was passed on by the Videocon group to Chanda Kochhar and her family. As we said, within a year of sanction, these loans turned bad, and the loss cost to ICICI Bank because of this NPA has been upwards of 1500 crores. Therefore, the charge of CBI and other investigation agencies against Chanda Kochhar has been one of corruption, nepotism, criminal misuse of power, and her investigation and prosecution continues. So does that of the promoters of the Videocon group. In the early part of the case, in the early part of the investigation, ICICI Bank had stood by Chanda Kochhar. Its then chairman M.K. Sharma had said that this case of loans given to Videocon was a collective decision. It's a case of collective responsibility because the loans, according to him, had been sanctioned by a committee and not by Chanda Kochhar alone. And thus, one single individual, which is Chanda Kochhar, cannot be singled out. It was the decision of a committee, and if the loan goes bad, one single individual cannot be held guilty. The interesting part is that among those who were members of the committee that sanctioned these dubious fraudulent loans were also KV Kamath, who was the then non-executive chairman of the bank, and also Sandeep Bakshi, the present CEO of ICICI Bank. It is because of this that Chanda Kochhar also told CBI that she cannot be singled out. She was not the only one who approved the loans given. Others too were, including KV Kamath. And she also said very clearly that she acted on the advice of KV Kamath, who she says has been her mentor. Thus, Chanda Kochhar's investigation involves KV Kamath to a large extent. And the interesting part is that he has not been questioned or investigated by CBI or the enforcement directorate so far. The fact is, it was a collective decision. The fact is, Chanda Kochhar was not the only person on the committee. And if she is being investigated, then CBI has rightly mentioned the others also in its FIR. And one of them mentioned happens to be Shri KV Kamath, who also needs to be investigated. It must be reiterated here that Shri KV Kamath was out of India from 2014 to 2019. And because of that, he has not been questioned or probed in this particular case of Chanda Kochhar Videocon, where he is also named in the FIR that has been lodged against Chanda Kochhar by CBI. The agencies have not probed him, the agencies have not questioned him, and he must be questioned. It's also very important that he is confronted by the statement of Chanda Kochhar, which is, she says that in sanction of these loans to Videocon group, she went by the advice of Shri KV Kamath, who happened to be her mentor. It is very clear that he needs to be cleared in this case before he is declared to be a fit and proper person to head such an important committee set up by the RBI. It is also worth noting that there is another case of CBI where he is being probed, and that is to do with loans sanctioned by ICICI Bank to Pranay Roy of NDTV Group. He thus is named in 2 CBI probes, and according to us, he needs to be cleared before he is appointed on a committee like that. Perhaps the AIBA also contends so. The fact of the matter is that while Shri KV Kamath left ICICI Bank as its CEO in 2009, he never did leave the bank. He continued as its non-executive chairman. He was also on its most important credit committee which sanctioned loans to various borrowers, including the dubious loans given to the Videocon group. He has also been part of India's top banking and industry circles, and his influence is known. His proximity to the Ambani family is known. And that is the reason why he just cannot be absolved on charges that he was no longer the CEO of the bank. The CBI has named him in a probe, and that needs to be looked into. This influence of his explains why he was appointed as the chairman of NDB, and also why now he is back into the game as head of an important committee of the RBI. The AIBA, we think, is right in contending that the RBI needs to review its decision of appointing Shri KV Kamath to head such an important committee. What is the larger picture that emerges here? The larger picture, according to us, is that there is nothing new in this particular appointment of Shri KV Kamath, for the simple reason that the influential and the powerful are never thrown out by the system. The system protects them, the system patronizes them, even if they may have violated laws of the land. Take the case of the Big Four. The big four have committed enough offences and are being prosecuted by agencies, and despite that, SEBI, which happens to be a regulator, SEBI, which happens to be a prosecutor against them in various cases, despite that is willing to give them sensitive, confidential consulting assignments. According to us, they should be debarred, but they are not debarred. Or take the case of Nirav Modi. In Nirav Modi's case, it was later found that some very incriminating and sensitive documents of Nirav Modi companies were in the custody of a top law firm who had not handed them over to CBI even though it was required to do. The CBI had to visit their office and take them away, but nothing happened to the law firm or its partners. It continues to rule the roost. Or take the case of India's criminal netas. They may have enough cases registered against them, but they still get elected as MPs, they still become ministers, and they are still in the system. The fact is that the big fish never gets thrown out. It is a small fish which is prosecuted and gets thrown out. The big fish continues to be protected and patronized by the system, and perhaps that could be the case here also. We really do not know whether Shri KV Kamath is guilty in the Chanda Kochar Videocon case or not, but according to us, the due process of law must be followed, and for reasons of propriety and for reasons of decorum of conduct, before he is not cleared out of the case, he should not be heading such a large committee, such an important committee. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.